U.S. Senator James Lankford is a conservative Republican. Oklahoma State Senator Kevin Matthews, a progressive Democrat. Their political views differ in many ways, and yet they have formed a strong political partnership to share the story of the Tulsa Race Massacre, not just with Oklahomans, but the entire country.
Let's continue to get better, but let's not forget where we've come from, so it never, ever, ever, ever happens again.
When James Lankford addressed his colleagues on the Senate floor in May of this year, he spoke plainly and truthfully about the events of June 1st, 1921.
When the worst race riot / massacre happened in American history. That story is still one that this body needs to remember.
It's something everybody needs to remember. But you can't remember something you don't know about or were never taught in school. Oklahoma State Senator Kevin Matthews, chairman of the Tulsa Race Massacre Centennial Commission, was determined to change that and cross the aisle to make it happen.
It's been Tulsa's dirty secret for a long time, and that shouldn't be the case. Senator Lankford agreed with me on that, and the fact that he was willing to stand shoulder to shoulder with me in a black high school and announce the fact that we wanted a statewide curriculum to happen in Oklahoma was very significant. And so we formed a bond around making sure that that's taught in all Oklahoma schools. We have now a Teachers Institute, and he's been very supportive of the branding of this area.
Prior to entering politics, Lankford spent 22 years in the ministry, and he didn't hesitate to say yes when Pastor Robert Turner invited him to preach to his congregation at the Vernon AME Church.
That was a church that it was destroyed all the way down to what they call the basement level. We would look at the outside walls and see the kind of the first floor was there and the basement was there, and that was all that was left. They rebuilt out of the rubble right there in the middle of the Greenwood district. And that church is thriving. It's a remarkable congregation to be able to be in the middle of and be able to preach there on a Sunday. It was just a lot of fun, both as a minister, but also to realize the history of this place.
With a $30 million plan to expand, renovate, and rebrand the Greenwood Cultural Center and surrounding area, sharing that history has taken on a new urgency, not just in Oklahoma, but all across the country.
I just love Tulsa and this whole Greenwood, Black Wall Street. I mean, like it does us all around the country. Yeah. Like it does something to me.
Former NBA All-Star Kevin Johnson, a two-term mayor of Sacramento, visited Tulsa recently to learn more about the revitalization of the Greenwood district and plans for the Centennial. And he's certainly not the only big name to express interest in both the massacre itself and what's being done to properly commemorate it.
The world is seeing that. You've seen the HBO series on Watchmen. We've had people from Oprah Winfrey's group and John Legend to talk about trying to do things here. And so this is gaining national prominence because reconciliation is so important.
North Tulsa is a place where we should practice basic reconciliation, where America should stop and look again and to say what can be done and what have we done, and to fix it.
And Lankford says that effort should begin in the home.
The national conversation about race is not a group of politicians sitting down at a big formal table having a conversation about race. A national conversation about race happens around dinner tables. Families having dinner time conversation, individuals inviting someone of another race to their home to be able to sit down and to be able to have a meal so that there's ongoing dialogue and friendship.
Lankford and Matthews are living proof that that type of dialogue can get things done. And it doesn't, or it shouldn't, matter if the person you're engaging with is a different color or belongs to a different political party.
For us to have Republicans, Democrats, our current governor, our current leadership, and people across the aisle come together with public-private partnerships to tell this story is no less than remarkable.
For all of the families that lost a loved one during that massacre 100 years ago, for all of the individuals that are in that community now, it'd be beneficial for them to be able to say all of this pain has happened for all these decades, but look what triumph is coming out of this tragedy.
The full Centennial Commission met in Tulsa on Thursday and afterwards confirmed that the new structure that we showed you in that story there will be called the Greenwood Rising Historical Museum.